The originals couldn't beat. Painting with explosives.
I can't wait to get out there and just paint this room.
The only thing that can stop elimination
That did not work.
is a weapon of mass decoration. The Deathlight 3000. My prediction. New episode, Saturday at 9 on Science and available on the app. Discovery of a source of links with an ancient culture called the Mitanni.
They were one of the great powers in the Near East for
Who's that? Who's that, guys? Is that you? Is that somebody else? Look at the robes. Look at the hair. The beard.
for a couple of hundred years. They had started off as the enemies of Egypt because the Egyptians were expanding their empire northwards. But after a while, they became allies, and there is certainly a lot of correspondence surviving between the kings.
The discovery of a source of prehistoric iron could offer an answer to a mystery that's eluded archaeologists for more than 90 years. The mystery begins in the Valley of the Kings, Egypt. Here, ancient Egyptian pharaohs once lay buried among untold riches of gold and gems. In 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter stumbled across the biggest archaeological discovery of the 20th century.
The tomb of Tutankhamun remains one of the most stunning archaeological discoveries of all time.
Of all time, yeah, there's pyramids bigger in America.
Imagination, which led to a whole outburst of Egyptomania, where everything Egyptian was sexy and cool.
The 3,300-year-old tomb was filled with treasure.
Tutankhamun's mummy was absolutely covered in jewellery, collars, amulets, but also two daggers. And one of those daggers had an iron blade.
But King Tut lived during Egypt's Bronze Age, at a time when iron manufacture was technologically impossible.
How did King Tut obtain iron when iron basically didn't exist?
One possible answer comes from a set of tablets written in an ancient Middle Eastern script at the time of King Tut's grandfather.
The Amarna letters are a series of ancient texts that date from the time period right before Tutankhamun's reign. And among other things, they mention a series of gifts sent to Egypt.
Look at this shit.
One possible answer comes from a set of tablets written in an ancient Middle Eastern script at the time of King Tut's grandfather.
The Amarna letters are a series of ancient texts that date from the time period right before Tutankhamun's reign. And among other things, they mention a series of gifts sent to Egypt by rulers of neighboring kingdoms.
Included in this list is a number of daggers with iron blades. Is it possible that this is the source of that dagger?
According to the Amarna tablets, the Pharaoh of Egypt received iron daggers from people with close links to the iron smelting site discovered in Jordan.
If we could identify one of these daggers sent by the king of Mitanni to Tutankhamun's grandfather as being the one found on his mummy, that'd be what.
So is Mitanni the South American Hebrew king? And because you know that South America had the iron ore that fell from the sky that was the strongest iron.
But there's no real
Campo del Cielo, this is what it's called.
On the face of it, the coincidence of the Amarna letters with the iron smelting site looks compelling. But when archaeologists investigate further, they realize the dates don't match.
It's a very disputed site.
See, the dates don't match because this is what happens. They tell you it's in the Middle East, it's in Africa. Then they go and, oh, the dates don't match. Oh, inconclusive. I'm sorry. Nothing can validate your history. Because this is not the area. These things came out of the South America, what they called West Africa. They called that Southwest Africa. And North America, they call that Northwest America or Northwest Amexum. So when they're talking about where you from West Africa, they mean you're from America. So when they're talking about these sites are not in the Middle East. They're in America. That's why nobody pays attention to these pyramids and these temples on this side. That's why you don't know about any of these artifacts.
Though archaeologists still debate the exact start date, the site at Tel El Hammam may have started production too late for Tutankhamun.
This dates to probably about 1000 BC, which makes it 300 years or so after Tutankhamun.
But some experts claim the mainstream Egyptian timeline could be off by as much as 300 years, which would put Tutankhamun back in the frame. Yet there is another more significant obstacle to the idea the dagger was forged by Egypt's advanced neighbors. Chemical analysis of its iron yields shocking results.
Here we go. This is probably what's gonna...
This particular dagger doesn't rust. And that's what makes it special.
The quality of the iron is fantastic. It's pure, almost made.
How much you wanna bet that this Campo del Cielo iron from South America does the same thing? How much you wanna bet?
Centuries later, when people became experts at creating iron.
The blade is so pure that in over 3,000 years, it hasn't rusted at all.
No one in the world is capable of producing that kind of metal in pre-modern times.
No, you don't understand. What about the Jaredites then, huh? What about the Jaredites? The American copper blades, that's such amazing work. That's unbelievable for those time periods, because nobody could do that. Isn't that what you said? You guys, it's like you guys never read any of your own work. You're just going off anything.
But no one on Earth was capable of making such high-quality iron back then. All the clues lead to the same remarkable conclusion. This iron wasn't mined by man.
So there's a high content of nickel.
See, there we go. There it is. Now it's alien. Because we're stupid. We couldn't do anything like that. So aliens.
Which indicates in all likelihood that this metal is not from Earth.
That's what I just fucking said. It came on a meteor shower. It was recorded in the Bible as the Battle of the Amorites. In history, it's recorded as Campo del Cielo. And this is a super durable iron. Just look these things up. They're verifying everything.
The sky is hugely important for Egyptian mythology. There are gods of the sky. Any kinds of things coming from the sky would be seen as potentially gifts or some kind of offering of the gods.
Ancient hieroglyphs throw further light on these deities.
When you look at some early religious texts, it talks about the bones of the gods being made of iron. Not only that, the term for iron was bir empet, which means iron from the skies.
The ancient Egyptians believed...
Those are not ancient Egyptians. Those are Hebrew Israelites, or Hebrews. Egyptians never have full beards. These people they're showing right here have full beards. Look how they're praying. When we pray with our hands in the air and we fold to the ground. This is exactly how they're praying. They look exactly like you. They're being called Egyptians. They ruled in Egypt. Who ruled in Egypt? They want to talk about you so bad, but they don't want you to know it was you.
From the heavens. While the dagger may not have been delivered by a god, modern satellite...
It was delivered by the Creator in the battle of the Amorites to destroy the Amorites who had overpowered Jacob and the rest, Joshua and the rest of the Israelites.
Gotten here.
There are a lot of scientists who scan satellite imagery for interesting features on Earth's surface. Well, a really interesting feature was found in Egypt in about 2008.
Mineralogists found on satellite imagery a perfectly preserved crater surrounded by more than 1,000 kilograms of meteoric iron.
It's very possible that a clever blacksmith recognized the metallic qualities of this stone and decided to experiment and discovered that, in fact, he...
Look at this shit. It just said that somebody in America stumbled over the meteorite shower in South America, created a beautiful dagger out of it, and traded with Africa, showing the trade routes had existed, and that it's not isolation, it's diffusionism.
A blade.
When archaeologists investigate the site, they analyze fragments from the ground.
So we can reconstruct the compositional characteristics of the meteorite. And the bad news is that it's not a match, so it's very unlikely that the dagger was crafted out of that specific...
They just verified that it's not from that side of the world. I bet you if you match this to the Campo del Cielo meteorite shower, the rocks will be an identical match, because we are the people that had just explained had ruled in Egypt, who were the enemies of the Egypt because Egypt was trying to expand into our territory. They're telling you history.
This particular
They
meteorite...
don't even understand that they're showing you history.
...source of the dagger. But the search continues.
We are clear that it is meteoric iron, so that's absolutely certain.
We're clear, it's meteoric iron. I'm telling you, man, I could... Ooh, I could do this shit in my sleep.
A specific site, perhaps, where this dagger may have come from.
Campo del
The
Cielo.
site might one day still be found, but the
Campo
impossible dagger's
del
mysterious maker
Cielo.
remains unknown.
Campo del
Tutankhamun's
Cielo.
dagger has been a mystery for some time, and it's likely to
Campo
remain
del
that way.
Cielo. South America. It's in South America. You see?
And his radar satellite spots suspicious containers on an island in the South China Sea.
Hello, this is Francisco Perez. Welcome to another educational lesson. So we're continuing from a video I did. It'll be before this, so this will be consecutive. So in the same video. Sorry, but so we're gonna get into it today. This video was on, I think it was on the Smithsonian channel on TV, and it said that the Egyptians got this specific iron weaponry from a distant from another nation, and they try to link this nation to all types of people in the surrounding area, but none of the iron matches. And it's because where they got this iron is in a place where the Israelites live, And this place is called South America. And this place that we're gonna talk about is where this iron came from. And this whole show that you just had witnessed went all around the world and could not find it. And the whole time I was probably screaming at the TV, it's in South America. But they don't want you to know the truth. They just want you to know half-truths. So that they can say, well, I told them. Let's just get into it. I'm going to go straight into a video, then I'm going to go into some writings. Fair use. Fair use. So this is Sam, and this is King David, and this is supposed to be during that time period. Now they're not saying they're in South America, but this is the part of the Bible where they uncover this special iron that's super strong. Okay, watch it.
It's heavy. What is it? The Egyptians called it copper from heaven. Very rare.
So Egyptians called it copper from heaven, a very rare form of iron, right? Copper from heaven.
Form of iron.
Why did they call it copper from heaven? Well, because when Joshua had laid siege to these people in America, in South America, they had more people in the opposite army, and then all of a sudden these super heavy meteorite iron came showering down, help aiding the Israelites in victory.
The Egyptians called it copper from heaven. It's heavy. What is it?
See, and it's
The
heavier.
Egyptians called it copper from heaven.
So right here, you gain all these characteristics of it. It's heavy. It's called copper from heaven. It's a unique iron. All right, it's an important iron.
Very rare form of iron.
All right. Now in the Bible,
Amazing display of God's power over Gideon, and to stand still over Gideon. This was an amazing display of God's power over his creation. Surely, the Lord was with Joshua, and he fought for Israel. Promise. He was with the Israelites as their enemies ran for their lives.
so this is an animated version of the Battle of the Amorites and Joshua. So what happened was they went to war and they were aided by meteorite showers that took out most of the armies, the enemy armies. All right. Today we cannot find this place. They keep going. No matter what, we can't seem to find where this had happened. Well, I'm here to tell you this is where it happened in America, and today we named it Campo del Cielo. Campo del Cielo refers to a group of iron meteorites, or to an area where they were found. This area is situated on the border between the provinces of Chaco Canyon, and Santiago del Estero. 1,000 kilometers northwest of Buenos Aires, Argentina, the crater field. So this is on they'll tell you all kinds of crap, but right here it says Campo del Cielo, which is called the field of heaven. So these meteorites came down, they worshipped these meteorites and they called it the field of heaven. Why do they call it the field of heaven? Because these meteorites came down and killed the natives, making way for the return of the Semite tribes. Alright, so I'm gonna get further into it. This is Wikipedia. You gotta sort through the hijack. They're not gonna tell you exactly what this is. Meteorites of Campo del Cielo, impact on the Indian culture. The Gran Chaco is located in the center of South America, and the Gran Chaco has a lot of pyramids and different types of ancient artifacts up there. This is where we were. Okay, the oldest body is found over here, and it was a Negroid type body, Afro-Asiatic. Okay, it particularly embraces the south of Bolivia, Paraguay, and northeastern Argentina. It is a sedimentary plain covered with parks and subtropical savannas. So why are the parks there? The parks are there to hide the pyramids and your homes. Okay. So this is talking about, this is a meteorite dispersion called Campo del Cielo that originated probably about 5,800 or 6,000 years ago. Okay, the thing about this though that is crazy is that hold on one second. The thing that I wanted to show you was that these Indians take a pilgrimage to this site every year, and they they do like ceremonies to worship this place called the field of heaven. So they'll tell you all kinds of stories, but that's what they say. So now we understand that the Europeans cannot find where these Egyptian iron came from that was given to the Egyptian. But I'm telling you, it was here in America that it was found. Look at some of these artifacts found in America.
Sewn onto clothing. Isn't that interesting? Pearls, pearls, pearls. Love their pearls. Breastplates and head plates, that's where you find them in the scriptures. That's what a head plate looks like. This right here is the back of the head. This is the crown. This is the forehead. These are grommets. These things were held together with a leather or a cloth covering. This is another one. These things, big flaps, cover your temple and your ears. This guy here is buried with. It's one of my favorites because you can see here they had a cord that came through this large hole, a knotted cord, and then they would cinch the cord.
So that's a breastplate.
You pull your knotted cord through the hole, and then you cinch it. And this right here went around your neck, the back of your head, to stabilize the plate. That's how they wore it. This is a shoulder guard sewn onto clothing. This right here is sitting here on my table. You can take a look at this. Left with a sword.
So obviously they knew how to make swords. So you cannot tell me that they never take this iron that was there from South America and give it to these kingdoms to pay homage, to say we recognize you as a great kingdom and we want to do negotiations and trade with you. Here is a wonderful piece of iron that we use. It's an important piece of iron. Here we go, a token of our appreciation. Tell me now. I have to make a dismount now. It's running out of time.
Taken off the Missouri River in North Dakota.
You can look all this up.
This is
Wayne May, Book of
stuff.
Mormon, Archaeology in North America.
Mighty fine. Mighty This guy was walking his dog on the beach of Lake Superior about 2 years ago. The tip of this was sticking up in the sand. He just reached down and pulled it up. What a great wine, huh? And there's the swords. Oh, by the way, we have lots of, what are these called? Scimitars. We got lots of scimitars. Lots of scimitars. Big swords. Oh, I got to back up. That's kind of a fun one. This is a friend of mine. Even though he's got these things, he wrote this report up, and look what he says over here. Some, none, or all of the specimens pictured in this plate 1 may have served as a sword.
Swords.
See, you say
all right,
sword,
we're gonna head
blacksmiths
that out.
in archaeology.
Thank you very
in
much.
America.